Here we are once again with the last Sin City Slugfest of Battlebots Champions 2. That's right, one more Sin City Slugfest. And this was exciting because we've seen that it's impossible to truly predict these. I mean, looking at the winners from the previous Slugfests is truly incredible. Like, who would have guessed some of these robots going through to the Golden Bolt tournament? So let's not waste any more time and let's get right into this. Now, the fights for tonight looked exciting. We had Claw Viper versus Shatter, which funnily enough was actually a fight on the very first episode of my Fuck It tournament, which is a series I do in Robot Arena 2, so be sure to check that out if you want. Like, it's a pretty fun time, it's a collaboration series. Yeah, sorry, we'll move on from the plug. Starchild versus Hypershock, Monsoon versus Gruff, and Riperoni versus Glitch. Fights like Riperoni versus Glitch I was particularly hyped for, and robots like Claw Viper, Monsoon, and Shatter were always designs I love to see, and I was definitely hoping to see at least one of these robots get a Shock Tournament win to the Golden Bolt Tournament, but Hypershock had to be the favourite for me. It's such a good robot. When everything just works, it's just an extremely capable spinner in my opinion. Now, the first fight was between Claw Viper and Shatter. If Claw Viper's fights this season, as well as its run in Fuck It, are anything to go by, then this will truly be something special. Shatter and Claw Viper both come out with forks, though Claw Viper notably comes out with no wheel guards. While the belts being exposed does make me a bit nervous, it was explained that it makes Claw Viper a narrower target, while also allowing them to bulk up in top armor, meaning that they are harder to hit, and if they do get hit, they can endure it a lot more easily. Now the match begins, and Claw Viper reminds me of when my cat plays, starting slow as it waits to pounce, before racing over and ramming Shatter into the wall. Shatter though is landing several shots in return, meaning both robots are dishing out some pretty nasty punishment. Claw Viper did seem to struggle for a moment, going perhaps just a bit too fast to get anything substantial over Shatter, but a ram into the walls and the screws showed Claw Viper was proving to be a lot for Shatter to handle. Plus, to give Claw Viper reason to celebrate, Shatter's hammer stops working. With that, Shatter was in big trouble as that Omni-Wheel drive is only really good at drifting with that weapon. Without it, they're ineffectual against Claw Viper, as that Omni-Wheel drive is only really good at drifting, which is great for when they have a weapon, but when it comes time to just be a weaponless robot, they're not going to be much good for ramming, especially against a monster like Claw Viper, as Claw Viper keeps pushing, ramming, and lifting Shatter all over the battle box. Ending the final 10 seconds, Claw Viper gets a good parting gift to Shatter as they lift the Hammerbot into the screws. It goes to the judges, but it was clear who they'd go for as the fight goes to Claw Viper. Now this fight was good. I definitely think both bots have had better fights. Shatter seems like a very difficult shape for Claw Viper to grab at times, and of course Shatter's weapon breaking down left them unable to do anything except drift and survive. Still, Shatter in the early goings was as fun as always with that Omni drive and powerful hammer, and Claw Viper, even when it's not doing a whole lot, is so fast and frenetic that it leaves me in awe. Both robots to me are definitely spectacles that I adore seeing, so even if not their strongest performances, it still left me ready for more. Next up was Monsoon versus Gruff, and I was unsure how exactly to predict this fight. On one hand, Gruff has been struggling to maintain that durability we've come to expect from it, so I felt a well-placed shot from the vert could put them out of the running, especially as Monsoon's spinner has only gotten more powerful as time has gone on. But at the same time, we saw in the Riperoni fight that if a vert has a slightly awkward wedging situation, then Gruff can take advantage of that with their lifting forks. This definitely felt like a fight that was going to come down to the driving and if a fatal mistake would be made. Nonetheless, I was definitely still leaning towards Monsoon taking the victory. Now the fight begins with both robots rushing over, with Monsoon darting past, likely to allow more time to spin up to speed. Then the two glance at each other with a small shot from Monsoon and a small lift from Gruff. Then Gruff gets a major lift on Monsoon, followed by an almighty shot from Monsoon, who recovered quicker than I think Gruff expected. For a split second, I thought this would be a major back and forth based on that exchange, but that is quickly destroyed as Monsoon lays the smackdown on Gruff, landing several major blows that send Gruff flaming and smoking into oblivion. making a quick KO victory for Monsoon. Now that was a short but sweet fight there, as both robots absolutely went full steam ahead. I am a little sad for the Gruff team, as it seems after years of being a tank, being this seemingly unstoppable brick that could take on the likes of Tombstone, they've possibly met their match with how hard spinners can hit now, as they've been repeatedly knocked out at this point. It's definitely proving to be a lot harder now for robots to be able to endure severe punishment. We see the likes of Minotaur and Shatter can generally do that, but it's getting harder to do, it seems like, and Gruff doesn't seem to be able to do it anymore. Saying that, I wouldn't be surprised if it turned out they had some issues this season, which led to their uncharacteristic lack of durability, and I'm almost certain that they'll be working on that to make Gruff more impactful and durable than ever for the next season. Still, Monsoon has been packing a major punch, and a KO that quick was a lot of fun to watch. They have absolutely shown that even though they've been gone for a few years, they are not lacking behind. They are not really lagging that far behind. They are quickly proving themselves to once again be a potent spinner to watch. Next up was Riperoni versus Glitch, and this was a fight I was especially interested to see. I was just talking about potent spinners, and Glitch, who albeit had an awful run in World Championship 7, we know that they can pack a major punch with their weapon, that if they could keep locked on with a Riperoni, would likely be able to keep toe-to-toe with them. And in fact, we've seen that Riperoni can struggle if it comes down to that, as we saw in the Black Dragon fight. That being said though, mobility is a major problem. Not only has Glitch has shown issues there, but that Riperoni is one of the more mobile verts out there with their counter flywheel countering those gyroscopic forces. Combined with the fact that Glitch dies when flipped over, which verts are pretty good at doing, while I was always up for an upset, I definitely wasn't expecting one. Still, this is a fight like the opener where I would be happy seeing either bot win. Now the battle begins and both robots slowly make their way out, spinning up to speed as we get some major death hums. There's a small glancing blow, but Riperoni smartly backs away, knowing it'd be bad for them to go weapon to weapon. Then another close call, as Riperoni actually ends up running right over Glitch. Still, then something goes wrong, as Glitch suddenly stops driving. With that, Riperoni came in from behind and landed the blow to end Glitch's time in the box, right at the backside, sending them across the arena. After some final shots, one flipping them over, they were counted out. Honestly, while I'm sad for Glitch, I still feel that both robots here have a lot of potential. Riperoni really did not want to meet Glitch weapon to weapon due to the likely obscene weapon power the bot has. And I just think that if they can get that mobility sorted for next time, they definitely stand a much better chance. I still think that this is a design with a ton of potential, so I really hope that they can pick themselves back up in World Championship 8. Still, with their amazing mobility and Glitch's sudden issue, not to mention Riperoni's own pretty decent weapon power, Riperoni continues to have one of the greatest rookie runs for a new robot. I gotta love both robots here in this one. It was truly incredible. Next up was Starchild versus Hypershock, and oh man, similar to the last fight, I knew an upset was unlikely. I was definitely rooting for Alex Bales here, as Hypershock can be extremely impressive and one of the more entertaining spinners, and I felt this was a good fight to start them off with, as they were almost certainly going to have the win. But at the same time, I was also hoping for Starchild to at least get one decent performance in before being inevitably ejected from this match. I remember the Hypershock team for a while were teasing, teasing this run for a while, and Alex is shown to be a major player with Hypershock, having already won the 2022 Remars event, which I think that's still like lost media or something. I'm gonna have to look into that. Hey, let me know if you want to see me review it. Hypershock comes out with the anti-horizontal wedge for this one, likely realizing it doesn't truly matter given the unique design of Starchild, so just relying on durability. Now the battle begins with both bots squaring up, and the alien is obliterated. Now due to this being only decorational damage, the Starchild team are just celebrating as they landed one of the better thwacks that they've actually managed to have all throughout the 2023 season. Still, they can't celebrate for too long as Hypershock begins repeatedly landing some major blows to the wheels, and then the body and weapon, causing the spinner to stop as the chain flops out, a wheel to begin to bend, and what looked like wires to be exposed. Still soon, Hypershock's spinner stops as well, causing a curious situation as Starchild is difficult to push, but Starchild can't do a lot of whacking with just one wheel, given that the other one is busy bending in half. Suddenly, the spinner of Hypershock does return and begins tearing away at Starchild once again, though it's short-lived as the weapon gets stuck on the wheel of Starchild. The killsaws take advantage, cutting the underside of a now stuck Hypershock, and while normally this would prompt an unstick, given how close the fight was to ending, the match ends in a slightly awkward fashion as it goes to the judges, who give the fight to Hypershock. Now overall, I was pretty happy with this fight. It did have some stumbling moments, such as both spinners not whirring in the middle of the fight, and the bots getting stuck at the end, but everything else was a fun fight between the two, with Starchild getting some of their best offense in, while Hypershock once again shows why it's still, after all this time, one of the best spinners in the competition. After that, we got a race of the fastest robots in Battlebots. It's Claw Viper versus Hypershock, and this was a rematch from World Championship 7. I was still giving Hypershock the edge going in, but I was hopeful for a great back and forth fight in fast forward here. Hypershock this time comes out with their force, which will help them with the reach and ground clearance, and as the fight begins, both robots race at each other. It's so quick that as I'm trying to take notes to work with when making the review, I could barely keep up with the action. But Hypershock gets the better of the initial exchanges, landing some blows and ripping off a piece of the top of Claw Viper's grabber. Still, Claw Viper gets a good pin on Hypershock, then Hypershock returns with a mighty shot when escaping, and after a clash, Claw Viper then gets an almighty grab and lift off of Hypershock, sending them onto the shelf. They try getting down, but Claw Viper rams them back up. Hypershock gets temporarily stuck, but comes back and lands a nasty blow on Claw Viper, but Hypershock is struggling as Claw Viper keeps going rapidly after them, and then my shock is compounded as I see the fight is only half done. Seriously, this fight is on the Battlebots channel right now. Give it a watch after this video because it feels like they have 2 fights worth of action in just this one fight. Even when Chris and Kenny calls one of them a knockout blow, Claw Viper has some damage driving but was still going. Still, because of the damage driving, the match is running away from Claw Viper as while aggressive, they're struggling as Hypershock keeps landing blow after blow after blow. Still, the fight manages to make the 3 minutes as Claw Viper looks like it caught on fire at the end. The judges still end up giving it to Hypershock, but man. Now I'm considering doing some top 10 videos, a top 10 fights video for World Championship 7, as well as a separate one for Champions 2, and I gotta tell you, this might have been easily one of my favourite fights of the 2023 period as a whole. If this doesn't make it on the Champions 2 top 10 list, I'll be very surprised at myself there, because this was amazing. It was so frenetic with heart-racing action. The two went absolutely wild. It genuinely looked like it could have gone either way at points in this fight, and both gave top-class displays. Let me tell you, if Claw Viper and Hypershock aren't in World Championship 8, then I think I will just weep. They are so fun to watch. These two robots are so quick, so nimble, while having a lot of power, they're just good. They're so durable for what they are. They are amazing. They are some of the best in their respective weapon classes. Next up was Monsoon versus Riperoni, and I was excited to see this one as both are killer spinners with some unique traits to them. Both also relying on reach, I was curious to see how this fight would go. Now the fight begins with Monsoon getting some great initial shots, tearing into that pizza wedgelet, and at first it looked like Monsoon was going to take the win, as what would Riperoni really be able to do if their only form of ground clearance was taken away from them? But then, disaster strikes as Monsoon catches on fire, with Monsoon stuck crab walking. On the other hand though, Riperoni's rear flywheel has been disabled, so for a while there's a lot of cautious driving. But when they finally go weapon to weapon, Monsoon is sent on their face, where they are counted out. Man, short and bittersweet there. On one hand, a quick and intense battle, but on the other, seeing Monsoon burn out like that was heartbreaking. I love both of these robots, so I would have been happy either way, and I'm really happy to see Riperoni make it to the finals, but Monsoon going out like that? Oh man. You know, it's just a shame really. But Monsoon has had a great performance in the 2023 season in my opinion. Obviously a robot coming back after a few years of being gone is always going to have a little bit of catch up to do at least. But given how well they've stood up to some of their opponents, I think that they have to make it to World Championship 8, surely. At least I'm hoping so. Anyway, it's time for the final, the main event. It's Hypershock versus Riperoni. In a shocking decision, Hypershock actually comes out with their wedge, which means that the robot won't have that reach or ground scraping ability. Still, given that Riperoni only has a small wedgelet, it still was likely that they'd be alright, and it meant that the fight could still go either way. On the other hand, not much to note about Riperoni, except for the fact that they're served on top of P1! Glad to see that front hinge flipper again, even if just for a cameo. I've always thought P1 was pretty cool. I always love a nice front hinge flipper robot, and given you can't get out of the arenas, I still think that there is potential for a front hinge flipper to be a pretty good design for the Battlebots, but maybe that's just me. Anyway, the main event begins with both robots meeting in the middle, with both exchanging blows. Both are making some notable damage to each other, but then Hypershock's wheel got jammed up by Riperoni, and Riperoni then is stuck as well, with half of their own drive dying. Still, despite this, Hypershock ends up gyroing right into Riperoni's spinner, which sends them flying. The two are then slowly crab walking over to each other, and both teams are incredibly tense as they have to deliberately risk overturning to get closer to each other, which leaves them vulnerable. So there's this careful balance. You gotta get closer and closer to your opponent, but you can't overturn. Unfortunately, the only way to get closer is to risk overturning, so you're constantly leaving yourself vulnerable. It's a very delicate balance. Riperoni does get the better as they get some small shots as well, due to Hypershock having a longer side, therefore more to hit, and soon Hypershock is up against the wall. Still, the two are incredibly close, but sadly nothing much happens apart from a glancing blow as the fight goes the distance. The judges deliberate and end up giving the fight to Riperoni, and yeah, not the best main event. I think that actually might have been the weakest final fight of an episode of Battlebots has had in a while. I am happy to see the crab walking rule as it allows a slightly more even playing field, but it does have its weaknesses, this being the biggest of them all. Overall, the fight was just very disappointing. I get why it went the way that it did. You don't want to just give away a win. You don't want to give up going to the Golden Bolt tournament. But at the same time, unfortunately, it means that we got a weaker fight. Overall, despite that though, the rest of the episode was really fun. Especially that Claw Viper versus Hypershock battle, which was just a blur of action. I still highly recommend checking out this episode if you can. It was absolutely incredible, and it was great to see these robots making it to the... And it was great to see these robots going on and just giving it their best here. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this Battlebots review. If you did, please be sure to leave a like on this video. Comment down below what you thought of this episode. Did you like the episode? Did you dislike it? What was your favourite fight? Let me know. If you can share this video around with your friends as well, that'd be super, super appreciated. And of course, we have memberships, which if you become a member on the channel, you get access to emotes as well as exclusive videos. I'm working on one right now to do with the 2023 season, as Battlebots has several fights that didn't make it to TV, and I'm going to be reviewing them. So, hey, if you become a member, you'll get to see that. I've also got other videos in the works, some Battlebots related, some not so much, and I hope to see you along for those as well. With that all being said, I hope to see you all next time for the Golden Bolt Tournament. Bye, guys!